Hey guys, welcome to You the Boss podcast, episode 73. And today we're going to be talking about self discipline being the real power. Before we get started, I wanted to say happy 5-year anniversary, You the Boss listeners. I made the choice 5 years ago to start this podcast. And since then, so much has evolved. So much has become this podcast. Some of you have been here from the beginning, which I'm so grateful for. Some of you I've met along the way, and I just want to thank you deeply for just showing up and showing out for this podcast and always supporting and just being there. I record this podcast for you right now from my home studio. I started this podcast in the dining room of my 1-bedroom apartment, and that's a lot of fun. I hope to post some of that this week of like the lighting and the setup that I used to have. And it was what needed to be done at the time, and I would do it 100 times more. But it's kind of a lot of fun now to not have to take my podcast gear down. Like I just, you know, it's in my office and I just click a button and everything is on, and so that's a lot of fun and I'm super thankful for that. So getting started on this episode, I want you to know that this isn't going to be an episode about being perfect. You guys know we don't do perfect on this podcast. We do progress over perfection. So when I ask you a couple of questions and I start to jog your mind, I don't ask you from a point of shame, which we'll also touch on this episode, but I ask you just to bring it to your forefront. Are you the kind of person that hits snooze on your alarm? Or maybe you know that you can eat healthier. You know that you can move your body more. You know that there's just certain things that you can do to be a healthier, happier version of yourself. Again, there's no judgment. It's just a matter of bringing it up, of asking the question. Maybe you've been putting off a doctor's appointment. Maybe you've been saying, you know what, I'm going to do this thing. I'm going to drop 50 pounds. This is the year. This is the year. Or maybe you have a 3-year-old or a 4-year-old and you're still hanging on to a little bit of baby weight and you're like, oh, I could eat better, but you're still not. You're still not hydrating. You're still doing those things. The thing is that being a boss is not doing everything perfectly. It's just handling the things that need to be handled. And some of these things, they just sit and it's actually heavier to hold on to them than it is to do them. But for some reason, we just stay. We keep in that mindset of like, I'm gonna get to it. I'm gonna get to it. I'm gonna get to it. And being a boss is not just a title. It's not just the thing that you're called. It's a mindset. It's how you show up in your life. It's part of your character. People who change their lives, it isn't because they're more confident. It's not because they're better than you. It's just simply because they're more consistent, because they have more discipline. Self-discipline isn't Self-discipline is choosing to do what you need to do regardless of being comfortable, regardless of it being uncomfortable. Even when the motivation has come and gone of doing something, of something started, or it lose the shine, you still do it. You still get it done. Because again, progress is better than perfection. I want to talk about the readiness trap. The trap that almost every single person I know that is successful at what they do, they can talk about the time that it took them because they waited to be ready. I'm probably talking to you listening to this podcast right now. You have this great idea, you have these great concepts, you have these great topics for your podcast, but you want to do more research. I want to look into that more before I get started. I don't know how to lift weights. I've never lifted weights before, so I just want to do the research. I want to do it right. oh, I want to be able to know what I'm doing. And while in a concept of lifting weights, that's valid because you don't want to hurt yourself. You don't want to pull a muscle. You don't want to, regress in your progress. That's a trap. It's a trap to say, I'll start on Monday. It's a trap to say, well, I'm one of those people that goes with the flow. Because fact of the matter is, on an everyday basis, sure, living your day to day in a flow is great, but at some capacity, you have to show up with self discipline. For me, the biggest one is I don't want to half ass anything. That's a part of the readiness trap. I don't want to half ass anything. I don't want to start something and then not do it right. And the reason that that appears, the readiness trap, is because our brains are geared to protect us. Because our brains are geared to protect us, when we go to try something new and it's unfamiliar, our brain can't decipher that, like, we're not in survival mode. We're not in the middle of the woods running from an animal. It's just that it's unfamiliar. And just because it's unfamiliar doesn't mean it's bad. Again, our brains want to keep us comfortable and wants to keep us safe. But the truth of the matter is, whichever way we say it, being ready is a myth. And the only way that you're going to become confident, the only way that you're going to get something done with your self-discipline is actually just doing it. Because when you get to that other side of doing it, you come to realize that, like, oh, I should have been done this. I should have done this already. We're not ready to start posting the different things online, or maybe you want to do the right thing before you get a studio for your photography. You're an established photographer and you kind of want to do a studio because you kind of want to do things in town, but you're not sure and you got to do more research. And, like, look, don't misunderstand me. Whether the logic is there or not, at the end of the day, the readiness trap is still a trap. You miss 110% of the shots that you don't take being behind the mindset of the readiness trap. But let's also take this a step further and say, let's remove the shame of inconsistency. You know, I always I say this to myself whenever I make a mistake. I'm the first person to be like, I should know better. I should know better. But it's like, I'm still a human being. I'm still having this experience in life that, yes, I made a mistake. So what? I say it a lot to my son. Like, if I drop something or I hit something or etc., I'm so quick to say to this 20-month-old, it's okay. Mommy made a mistake. What if we treated ourselves in the same way that we treat a toddler? Like, okay, I made a mistake. All right, I didn't do what I said I was going to do today. Just let it be what it is. Relying on motivation to get things done is unreliable, because you know what? You don't wake up every single day feeling 100% to go to work if you have a conventional job, or feeling 110% ready to be locked into your small business. Though entrepreneurs, I do have to say, they're a different breed because you have to, like, show up in a different way and then add in a couple of employees and a couple of people's lives, and, like, all of a sudden we're, like, turned down for real. But motivation, the best way that I can describe motivation is like waiting for the sun to be shining and for it to be 75 degrees on the East Coast. You guys know more than anyone, if you live on the East Coast, that it being sunny and only 75 degrees on the East Coast is like a handful of times a year. It's either really cold or in the 80s, and it might not be sunny. It might be cloudy on a day. But it's like depending on that handful of days of the year to let your motivation work for you. Discipline is not like that. Discipline is about keeping the promises that you made to your yesterday self. It's not beating yourself up when something didn't get done or it didn't get done under the timeline that you quote unquote made for yourself. It's self-respect. It's respecting and believing in yourself long after that motivation is gone, long after it's shiny, long after you said you would. You don't need a better mindset. You just need to negotiate with yourself less. Self-discipline looks different for everybody. Having discipline is about being able to do something. It's not about extreme. It's It's walking to get your steps even though you're tired. It's saying no without explanation. It's doing what you said you were going to do, even if it's not perfect, even if it's not exactly as you quote unquote imagined it. And lastly, again, discipline is choosing progress over perfection. I read a lot of people who I personally know listen to this podcast and they'll post online like, I didn't want to be here, but I came and got this workout done. It wasn't my best workout, but I got it done. That's discipline. Self-discipline is not always pretty. It's not always glamorous. It's not always real worthy. It's personal. It's so deeply personal to have self-discipline. I put together some tools for you guys to get you started, in your everyday discipline. You're going to hear me say these things, and self-discipline is not, they're not cute, the tools I'm going to give you. The steps I'm going to give you, or the different tools for self-discipline, they're not cute. They're not Pinterest worthy even. They're just really simple, but they're practical, they're gentle, and they're effective. So number 1, the bare minimum rule. What's the smallest version of that thing that you need to get done today that you can do? Progress counts even when your energy is low. Maybe you can't run 87 miles today because the time doesn't allow. But you could run 1 or 2. You could show up still to keep it consistent, to keep the habit. Maybe you can't dedicate 2 hours to working out because that's just not where you're at in your life. Whether you have children, you have a demanding job, you have a relationship, or like honestly, you just literally all you do is get up and go to work. You work 9 hours a day and then you come home and like that's it. So maybe it doesn't look like doing the extensive 2 hours. Maybe it is just 15 to 20 minutes a day. It's 15 to 20 minutes a day that you didn't do a year ago. Number 2, the 5-minute start. Commit to just starting. Commit to just doing it. You'll find a lot of tasks can be done under 10 minutes. The 5-minute start rule removes the overwhelming feeling. Period. If it doesn't work for you to do a load of laundry a day, then just dedicate 5 minutes to putting something away. Set a timer, 5 minutes. I put a couple things away, done. One of my best friends and I, we like to say that we like this game that we play with ourselves where we set a 10-minute timer and we're like, how much of this can I get done in those 10 minutes? And it's having the discipline that after those 10 minutes and the alarm goes off, putting it away, being done with it, no matter how it goes, done. So set that 5-minute timer. You're thinking about starting a podcast? Take 5 minutes today and write out your trailer. You're thinking about continuing your podcast? Okay, take 5 minutes today and write what your next episode is going to be about. It may not seem like a lot, but if you do 5 minutes a day for a week, that's 35 minutes. 35 minutes of time that you already know you have, and you can do so much in those 35 minutes. Number 3, 1 promise a day. Make 1 promise a day that you'll keep for yourself. Maybe it's, I promise to write an episode a day for the next 8 days. Maybe it's something you do first thing in the morning. Maybe in writing that podcast episode, maybe you didn't get to it before nap time. Maybe you didn't get to it on your hour break at work. But you know what? You have 10, 15 minutes before you go to bed. So as long as you fulfill the promise to yourself daily, it doesn't matter when it gets done. From the moment you wait, you have the window from the moment you wake up and the moment you go to sleep to keep that 1 promise to yourself. It doesn't matter if all you have is 15 minutes a day to move your body. Maybe you can't sit and do a 15-minute yoga session. So maybe today that looks like you're making dinner at home. And so you take 15 minutes and you put some music on and you dance. You get your heart rate up while you're washing dishes and doing the things. Maybe it's 15 minutes in the shower of having the brainstorm and speaking to your phone, telling your phone, hey, make this note for me. It's making sure that you build trust with yourself every single day by keeping that promise. Number 4, discipline through the environment. Put friction between you and the habits you want less of. So maybe that's eating less junk food. Maybe that's ordering out less. Or maybe it's eating at home more because you've been skipping meals. So put friction between that. If you don't want to eat more junk food, stop buying it and putting it in your house. And before my fellow parents on that listen to this podcast say, you don't understand, I buy those snacks for my kids, then have the discipline to not eat your kids' snacks. If it's, I need to eat out less, but still eat home cooked meals, you're still spending the money, right? You're still spending the money to eat, and however capacity you want to say it, you're still spending the money to eat. So why don't you find a meal prep service or find someone in your life that does do meal prep, or you know that they cook consistently, and say, hey, can I give you my groceries? Can I give you that money or give you the items that I want cooked? And can you cook it for me? I'll pick it up, daily or every couple days. Can you just cook for me so that you still have a home cooked meal? You're still spending the money. You're still being responsible for your food, but you just don't have the time to cook at home. Make your habits easier to access. Make it so that they're the easier choice instead of it being like, well, I don't have any good snacks to eat or healthier snacks, so I have to eat the junk food. Instead of saying, well, I don't have time to cook, find a solution to what your problem is. I have 2 book suggestions for you. And honestly, like the first book, I've heard mixed reviews on it. I know people that don't really like this book. They don't really care for this book. Supermarket Approach. The first book is Atomic Habits by James Clear. I have to admit that when I first went to read this book, I couldn't get past chapter 4. I was like, this is like pulling teeth for me. So I put it down. And like a year later, I restarted the book and I flew through it. I think it took me like a week to finish. It's a good book because it does give you the concept of like building habits with systems instead of just being like, hey, change this in your life and it'll be focused. It's like small steps to create the change. And the second book is You Are a Badass by Sincero. I'm going to put these books in the show notes for anyone that's listening. This particular book, it was short. It had punchy chapters. It was direct. There was no fluff. It was great for the mindset shift instead of it being like a textbook that you need to look around and like figure out how you're going to be a badass. It reinforces the idea that you take action before you're ready. Your life changes when you stop waiting and start deciding. To close this episode, I want to ask you, where have you been waiting to feel ready? Where have you been putting off because you want to learn more, because you're not sure, because you need to do the legwork and you just haven't had the time? I want you this week to take action towards that. Even if it's imperfect, just take a little action. Take 5 minutes and do it. Self-discipline isn't about forcing yourself to do anything. It's about trusting yourself. It's about the development of trust between you and being able to move in a better direction and being able to build the connection of that trust for yourself. Before we end this episode, I want to encourage you to leave us a review wherever you listen to your podcasts. We're streaming on all platforms, Spotify, Apple, YouTube. Leave us a 5-star review. We definitely appreciate it. Thank you for listening. Come back again next week for another episode of You the Boss podcast.